After a thrilling affair at Las Vegas that saw a very frantic battle at the end, we now turn to our second road course race of the season for the One-Up Nitro National Series. We're at race number 5 of 25, and we're at the beautiful circuit Decatur in Ohio for the running of the UNOH 200 here on this scenic 3.3 mile road course. Alongside me in the booth today is Duke Ansack, as always, for the Nitro National Series, and well, this is a sweeping, wicked fast road course. Not quite Monza levels, but you're certainly going to see a lot of fast corners, and people are going to want to opt for high downforce to adapt to these sweeping corners on this big racetrack. What do you think we're going to see? Because these cars have never raced here before. This is a complete unknown for these guys, and it's just a matter of who can acclimatize themselves to the track the fastest.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unfamiliar track for all of these drivers and fans alike. So, I think it's going to be a fascinating race. Inaugural races are always exciting because there's so many unknowns. Who's going to be good? Who's going to be fast? What's the race even going to be like? There's a lot of different types of corners. There's fast chicanes. There's S's. I mean, there's sweeping corners at this track. It's got a bit of everything, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. There's gonna be a lot of strategy involved with this race, especially because we won't be having any cautions. So it's gonna be an interesting race, and I'm real excited to see how it goes down.
With local yellows only in appliance here at Decatur, we can now turn to the starting lineup for today's race of 24 laps, and we've got a first-time pole sitter in the series, Patrick Smith, in the 04 Dodge. Lines up on pole position with Raiden Red in the 58. A rookie in the 58, making his best career start of his short career in second. Yates Terzic, always a threat in the 00 machine, lines up third, with Ricky Freeman Jr. and Dylan Young rounding out the top 5. But there are two serious road course threats right behind the top 5. Ryan Caggiano in the 81, Alex Verget-Berube in the 3. They're both going to be challengers, I imagine. So is it going to be one of those fast 5, or Caggiano and Alex going to pose a challenge late in the running?
I mean, you want to say that the starting position at road courses absolutely matters. It's one of the most important things, but you can't count out that 3 car. I mean, we saw what he did the last time the series was on a road course, leading flag to flag, just unstoppable. So starting 7th, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but some good strategy. I think anybody really has a shot in this race, maybe in that top half of the field, and it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, especially if those guys up front can't hold off the ones who are behind.
So with that being said, we've got 24 laps awaiting the drivers here at Decatur, and the green flag is moments away. Stay tuned, folks. You're not going to want to miss a second of the action as the One-Up Nitro National Series gets ready for the 5th race of the 2022 season. Hold on to your seats. It's going to be a wild ride from start to finish. As they round the final corner, it leaves us in the hands of Patrick Smith and Raiden Red on the front row. The field bunches up behind these two. They all get back in line before we get to the restart zone. Coming up in a matter of moments, can Patrick Smith capitalize and get his first career win, or will it be Raiden Red or Yates Terzic's turn? Coming into the green flag, it's out, and we are underway at Decatur, and Patrick Smith gets a really good jump on the field as they dive off into the first chicane. That's a very handy lead for the 04 to have gotten so early.
Yeah, really well through that first chicane there. Wow, and he is even extending it more. The 3 wide in the back behind. Oh, and there's a spin. Somebody spun. It's a red car off the track in the back.
That was the 55 of Tyler Ferris.
Oh, boy.
That went around, but no caution for it. Local yellows wave, but everything sorts itself out, and we stay green. But other than that little skirmish, everybody makes it through the first couple corners fairly well. And now Ricky Freeman Jr. has actually gotten ahead of Yates Terzic for the 3rd spot. We got one off track. That's the 27 of David Byers. It's expected that we would see a few cars go off in the first lap, but as they make their way through the S's, everybody looks to be in good shape, except for this 10 car of Ryan Arnold, who has some pretty heavy damage on the left-hand side of that number 10. The hillside winner, of course, is Ryan Arnold, as they check up a lot for these slow corners. We see a little bit of damage in the early stages. It looks to be... Well, it's hard to tell from this angle who it came from. But as they go down onto what we consider the back straightaway here at Decatur, Patrick Smith barrels it off into the final few corners, and it looks like he'll easily be able to hold off Raiden Red to be able to lead the first lap. A very chaotic first lap at that.
Yeah, lots of contact there, but that's what you have to expect. You know, it's going through those corners. It gets real narrow real quickly. You know, you can't rip the top around those corners. So it's a tough break if you're out there. And then sometimes you just get squeezed, especially with the double file or double wide start of the race that we have in these. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch today. I think that so far though, with everybody single file now. It's gonna be all right. Coming around, and they're all gonna be in order. They're gonna start trying to make some lap time now and try to catch that 04 car who's been dominating thus far.
Patrick Smith's already built a 1.7 second lead as you see Ryan Arnold pit to repair his damage. He will be able to rejoin the race in the last, but he will be able to stay on the lead lap. It looks like Eric Monaco and Austin Tyler had a bit of an issue. They are now running at the back of the field. Monaco actually quite a ways behind the rest of the pack, but no problems up front right now. It's Patrick Smith leading the way so far by 1.7 seconds over Raiden Red and 2.4 seconds over Ricky Freeman Jr., the new third place runner.
Yeah, these guys. This 04 car really is looking good. I mean, it's a little bit reminiscent of that 3 car of Alex Vergem-Barum last time we saw a road course in this series. Of course, we've yet to see if it's going to remain this big of a lead in this race for the 04. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. There's a couple of pit stops in this one, so it's going to be a lot about strategy too. I have a feeling that there's going to be a little bit of an undercut strategy available for these guys. If you pit a lap before the next guy, you might have a little bit fresher tires, go a little bit faster. Maybe even if it's just the fact that they're a little bit colder, and it's you know, with these cars at least, heavy cars a little bit colder is a little bit better. So. You know, it's gonna be fascinating to see how this one plays out. We're on lap 3 already, though. You know, and we're looking good right now.
Pit window here is anywhere from about 8 to about 10 laps into this race, so we'll expect to see 2 stops be made here. As you see now, Ryan Arnold and Eric Monaco lagging behind the rest. Arnold because of his pit stop, Monaco because of an off-track excursion, but. So far, so good for Patrick Smith. He's maintained his 1.7 second lead over Raiden Red, the rookie in the Phantom Fury Motorsports, number 58. This is a great run for the PFM racing team right now, and he's holding his own pretty clear of Ricky Freeman Jr., who, as you might remember, dominated at Las Vegas before finishing second that day. We'll see if Freeman can start clawing back time, but right now, I don't think anybody's got anything for Patrick Smith, at least not in the early stages.
No, he's absolutely pulling away in this race right now, and he's nearly 2 seconds clear, probably the full 2 seconds now, over that 58 car in second place. So it's utter domination right now from this Monster Energy Dodge Challenger out front. But you know, it's interesting mathematically this race and how it works out with the pit cycle, and as you see the scoreboard update, they're almost 2 seconds ahead for the 04 car. But it's going to be fascinating to watch mathematically with when they're pitting. You know, between 8 laps and 10 laps on a fuel run, you'd think, man, if they could just stretch it to 12, they could go the whole race on one stop. We'll see what happens. I don't think that'll be the case for anybody, but if you hard save for a lot of this race, it might just be possible. Of course, it's a high-speed track. This is, you're on the throttle for
and
quite
it's
a
a long
bit of time.
track as well.
Yes, yeah, it is. So of course that's why really they're only able to go eight laps around a track. I mean, if we were talking Las Vegas, that's no time at all, you know. So it's just a difference there, and so. Hey, we'll see how it goes and watch the strategy. But here's Yates Terzic in 4th place right now, working on 3rd place. Man, what a season this has been for Yates Terzic. Absolutely incredible. We've seen the highs and the lows so far from this driver and the multiple teams that he's running for, but well in the hunt for this championship and putting himself together, something that'll put him on the map, if nothing else.
Yeah, he had that one hiccup at Las Vegas driving for his own Diamondback Motorsports team. But once he's saddled up in this Carter Racing System Toyota, he is as good as anybody else. And he's currently hounding the back of Ricky Freeman Jr. for the third position, as Raiden Red continues to fall further behind Patrick Smith. The gap, we'll see if it's over 2 seconds. Oh, it is well over 2 seconds, 2.3 now.
Yeah.
But that Diamondback Motorsports team that Yates Terzic owns, even if Terzic is not running in that car, it is still here. Austin Holloman is currently driving that 57 car today, making his series debut, and that 57 car is going to attempt all the rest of the races. So we'll see we'll see how they fare in their abbreviated campaign. As we now look back to the back half of the top 10, Dylan Young, always a perennial contender in this series, running 7th. Kasim Adnan in 8th, a very solid road racer himself, holding steady ahead of two-time winner this season, Joshua Michaels in the 18, and there's Alex Vergeperu. He faded back to 10th from his starting spot of 7th, but I think he's just riding for now, just gathering information about the car, as he runs just ahead of Kenneth Grant and Keon Daly, who in the span of half a lap has fallen from 10th to 12th here.
Yeah, and I think you're right. At this point in the race, you don't really want to push all too hard. You're kind of just riding right now. It's a little bit like the beginning of a race at a Talladega or a Pensacola. You want to just ride a little bit and kind of wait it out. You don't want to take yourself out of it early by doing something that you might regret later. So if you burn off your tires in this first run and start to lose positions at the end of it, that's not good. That's going to end your day. It's little things like that. So saving your tires here, learning the track, getting comfortable out there, and that's kind of the main part of this first run we see until the pit stops. Of course, in the pit stops, there's a big surge. You have the opportunity to gain some positions there with people coming in and out in the pit lane. And then, of course, the third run, that's the run at the end of the race. That's when you're really going to be going hard.
Well, here's Austin Holloman in the 57. He's doing a fairly solid job for the Diamondback Motorsports team. He's currently running in the 15th position, just behind Zachary Delello and directly ahead of Aaron Hall in the 7. These are two guys that have been around in the series for a while. This is good experience for Holloman to be running in between these two, just gathering information. But Aaron Hall is going to try and make a move around the outside. Not going to work. He runs a little wide, but not into the grass, and everything holds steady. Chris Lattimore currently runs 17th in the Motor Dash 87. Nicky Martinez 18th. Elijah Ironhouse and Alexa Lushon round out the top 20. These are cars we should be seeing at the front more often than they have been, but maybe it's just that they're better suited on ovals instead, but who knows. Right now, Cody Goforth currently in the 21st position, ahead of Kean Rivers, currently 7th in points despite not having a single top 10 this season. So that goes to show consistency is key for this 54 team. They got a little work to do to make it up there again, but he's having an okay run in 22nd. Santiago Alvarez, Nathan Meyer, and a lot of other cars. We're looking for the 86 and the 6 of Rasha Mahendra and the 86 of AJ Jones, because they were running pretty far up the field. There's the 86. He must have had an off track in that 86. He's got a bent rear end, and I imagine that right side is pretty torn up in that 86. Ryan Arnold already had damage, as Patrick Smith now begins lap number 7, but we will find what happened to this 86 car, and we will get you a replay of what happened to AJ Jones to put him this far down the pack, this early, here at the Circuit Decatur for the Nitro National Series. So this is where Jones and Mahendra were running. I think they're just going to get squeezed by that one wall there, and yeah, they get hooked together, and Mahendra just sends Jones into a high-speed spin into that barrier there past the sand trap. So thankfully there's a lot of runoff at this track, and AJ Jones just used all of it in that high-speed accident, but he's able to continue with some minor damage on the 86, and I imagine he'll be in the pit lane soon to repair that. But yeah, tough break for AJ Jones. He finally gets into a ride with some horsepower in it. He's got chances to win races, but this is not, I imagine, how he wanted this to start, as he's in the pits now repairing damage. And as Patrick Smith now rounds the final few corners, he will likely put AJ Jones, the first car in this race, one lap down.
Yeah, that's just a tough break. Not a lot you can do there. Give each other a little bit more room there, but you're going into the corner, and you want to use up all the track you can, so there was a little bit of contact. They both went off course, and it was a bit of a hard hit for AJ Jones. Luckily, that car seems to be all right. He's coming off of the pit lane now. Of course, he's going to be a lap down, out of contention for the win, likely. So, yeah, and here's something that I'm noticing right now up front. Of course, we're approaching this pit window here. But the 58 car, remember when we were talking about the 04 had gone far over a 2-second lead? Well, that lead has come down to 1.8 seconds now. That 58 car at the back half of this run has started to gain a little bit of time, whether that's the 04 falling off a little bit on the long run, or he's just starting to maybe relax a little bit and hit his marks and not really push that car. I don't know which of the two it could be. It could be something else as well, but it's just something to keep note of in the later half. We've still got another run after this and another run after that, so we'll see what happens. Back half of these runs are what determines the race win, so we will see how it goes.
Raiden Red, this is his best opportunity to run up front in a Nitro National Series race. He's yet to get a top 10 in his career. He's come close a couple times, blew up, of course, at Pensacola, but he's having a strong run here in second, even if he can't catch the 04. We'll see what happens on this round of pit stops when it happens. We will see, because the pit window is now open for these guys, but they're going to try and make it last just a bit longer. So Patrick Smith, yeah, Raiden Red, these guys, they all stay out. I imagine they'll be in within the next lap or two, but we'll see what the gap is at the line between Smith and Red here, and it's back up to 2.5 seconds. So Patrick Smith clearly turned on the wick on that lap. So it's
must have heard us.
Yeah, he must have heard us say that he was losing time, and now he's making a charge. As now we look at this 81 car, Ryan Caggiano, the defending champion. He's always good at the road courses. He has had a top 10 in every race this season, and he's currently on pace to continue that streak. He's in the top 5, running 5th, but he's under fire from Kyle Corbett and Dylan Young. And now Young makes the move on Corbett. That's for 6th position. So moved to 92, up to P6 on lap number 9.
Yeah, that was a good move right there, smooth. I expected more people to pit on lap 8 right there. I guess that this front half really didn't do a lot of pitting there. I can't imagine why that is. I guess it doesn't make a huge difference here, but I would want to pit at the beginning of these runs just to get it out of the way. If you pit on lap 8, go another 8 laps, your second pit stop is on lap 16, then you're good to go to make it to lap 24 pretty much all the way. You extend that a little bit. I guess I'm not exactly sure what advantage that has, but nobody has pitted, so I guess these teams know something that I don't. I can only assume that a lot of them will be pitting this time. Here comes our leader into the pit lane, and I'm sure that the rest of the field will follow. Yep, here they all come.
Here it's feeding time at the zoo here in Decatur.
Oh my gosh.
Kasim Adnan makes a little bit of a late entry here. There's AJ Jones staying out, but he already pitted on lap 7. We'll see who the first car is to stay out. There it is, Zachary Delello in the 03. He was running in about 14th before this cycle, and for the first time in his career, Zachary Delello will take the lead in a 1-Up Nitro National Series race. He will lead lap number 9, but that might expose him later in the race. We'll see how this overcut works, but it looks like these two battling it out pretty hard. Nicky Martinez and Elijah Ironhouse also stayed out. Yep. So this will be an interesting strategy call to keep an eye on, because Delello was running 14th before the pit cycle started. Ironhouse and Martinez were in 18th and 19th. These are a few other cars staying out. Glenn Mixon, Chris Welchel, Lilith Onyx. And critically, coming out of the pits, Raiden Red has gotten ahead of Patrick Smith in the pit lane. So,
that is huge.
When Delello and the others pit, that'll cycle Raiden Red to the lead of this race. And and also put Yates Terzic ahead of Ricky Freeman Jr. in their battle for third.
Nicely done.
So this shapes up the running order in a big way. We will see where these guys are running after the cycle shakes itself out, because a lot of cars still need to come in, namely Zachary Delello and these cars in the picture right now, Onyx and Welchel. But this is an interesting strategy by these guys. I'm not sure how it's going to work, because the tires do take a pounding here. However, if you can make it work, and you can get fresher tires than the guys around you, that could pay dividends towards the end of this race. But it looks like Delello will come into the pits this time. Yes, he is. And I imagine everybody else who stayed out will follow him. Yes, here they all come.
24 and the 8, there they are. So here's the interesting thing about that strategy of going a little bit long, and here's the 34 also coming in to make the pit stop there, the 90, and everybody else, I assume, will come in this time, and there's our leader in the 58 with just a little bit of a lead over that 04 car. But here's what I think the advantage could be. You know, if you make it the 10 laps, right, that means I can only assume you can go another 10 laps, right? So if you make it to lap 20, you've only got 4 laps left in the race. That's about a half of a run on fuel, a little bit less, in fact. So you fill up less on fuel, your pit stop is a little bit quicker, and you can abuse those tires you put on for that last run. So I guess that's the advantage there. Yeah, that's the possibility as well. So it's a real fascinating strategy. We'll see how that works out. But this 04 car really is really fighting for the lead now. This is going to be a great battle between the 58 and the 04.
I think Patrick Smith might actually be developing a push in that car now that he's stuck in the dirty air of Raiden Red, because Patrick Smith was able to manhandle this racetrack with ease while he was out in front, but ever since he's been behind this 58, he's been running wide in the corners. You see it right there. I think he's just getting aero tight in that 04 now, since he's been stuck behind Raiden Red here. So I think Red, what he's trying to do is just keep the 04 in his wake, and that see, look, the 04 is going wide again. So what I think is this 04 is developing an aero push, and that is not what you want on a road course, because you need the car to turn in these sharp corners and even in the sweeping ones to keep up as much speed as you possibly can. So as long as Smith is stuck behind Raiden Red here, as we see Eric Monaco with an extended pit stop here to repair what I assume is some damage sustained earlier, as these guys now barrel down the main straightaway, it's going to be interesting to see how long Patrick Smith is stuck behind the 58 of Red, because now you look at that, he's got a huge push in that car. And that takes more life out of the tires as well.
It does.
Developing an aero put or any kind of understeer in general.
Yeah, because you're sliding those tires, those front 2 tires through the corner, and of course those are making the grip when you're on the brakes going through the corner. And it's real fascinating. You know, I would, if I was out there, you know, I'd be backing up those corners a little bit. If I was the 04, I'd be, Patrick Smith, he should be letting off the gas just a little bit early, hitting the brake just a little bit earlier, because you get that thing rotated before you're able to kind of cut low coming out of the corner, and that's how you're going to make the pass here. Now, I'm thinking about if this 58 is able to stay ahead and hold these 2 up, because, of course, while they're racing like this, you got the 58 playing defense, the 04 playing offense, and they're both slowing each other down because of it. That 00 Yates Terzic, he's going to start making up some big time. So this could be a 3-horse race before we know it, if that 04 stays stuck behind Red in the 58. And right now, he is stuck back there. He is having a lot of trouble. He's not able to get past. So this is going to be real fascinating, real quick. We're only about halfway through this thing now.
Coming to the halfway lap this time, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
And as Raiden Red leads at half distance, if Patrick Smith can stay close enough behind this 58, he might be able to pull out and make a move into the first chicane. but I don't think he's close enough on this lap to make it happen. He's 4/10 back almost. Yeah, he's not going to be able to make the move here, and again, he just pushes it a little wide into that first chicane. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays itself out, but now Smith's right on the bumper at a 58. Could he make a move going into this next corner? Oh, it's going to be close, but I don't think he's going to be able...
right there.
And he's developing a huge push. He's running really wide.
Hold it on the track. Oh, my goodness.
Just barely he holds on.
Man, thank goodness there wasn't any grass right there on the other side of that curbing. He would have found it, and then he would have lost a lot more grip than he's already lost in those front tires. Man, oh man. This is quite the battle we've got here. This 04 just cannot get by. My goodness, the 58. Of course, give credit where credit is due. A fantastic defensive job from that Walmart car right there. And I'll tell you what, this is a very interesting thing, because we already saw that the 58 crew put together better pit stops. Something happened in the pits and allowed them to take the lead after being more than 2 seconds behind. So the 04 had some trouble in the pit lane, or whatever it was, but we saw that happen already. If they're this close going into the pits for the final pit stop of the race, what's going to happen? Who's going to come out on top? It's real fascinating now, and man, oh man, this is exciting. This is exciting. This is a really good run from the 04. Let's see what happens.
This time he's
right on him.
Always pulling out. He's going to make the move on the 58 after 3 laps stuck behind. He's going to send it off into the first chicane, brake later than Raiden Red, and...
Red's got the spot!
Oh, he pushes the 04 wide. Pushes the 04 wide and off the second corner. But Patrick Smith's just got the horsepower under him, and through to the lead goes Patrick Smith. He takes it back on lap number 14. Now, Raiden Red's got to be wondering, where is this 04 better than me, and where can I capitalize to get him back?
Man, I've been watching for that too, and I just want to say, fantastic move, and nearly got him back. Raiden Red did, but man, oh man, that was an incredible move from the 04, and just to get the horsepower down on the exit of the corner, that was excellent. But I'll tell you what, I think the 04 Patrick Smith, he might be better in just about every part of this track. It feels like, I mean, he's better on corner entry. He's better on corner exit when he's not pushing wide, and of course right now he's got fresh air. He's got all the fresh air he needs, so he's not gonna be pushing. Man, he's just so quick around this place. It's hard. Look how far ahead he's already gotten. He was definitely being held up by that 58 car, and look who is in the picture. Yates Terzic in 3rd place. Man, oh man, he is still part of this thing. He does not want to be counted out. We won't count him out. Look at him in 3rd place. He's just lurking, waiting for his opportunity. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting race between these 3 cars, because right now they're all on the front stretch. The only 3 on the front stretch. The 91 back there is actually, I don't even see the 91 back there anymore. Something might have happened. I'm not sure, but oh, I guess not. Maybe I'm just I have no idea what I'm talking about either way. Oh, yeah, the 91 is falling off the pace. What happened to the 90?
He's on pit road, as a matter of fact. Ricky Freeman Jr. trying to do a short pit on these guys. He's going to try and pit here and make it the rest of the race, because we're in the final window now where you could do that. So Ricky Freeman Jr. is going to try the ultimate shortcut here and try and get out ahead of everybody else. You might as well try something if you're the 91. If you were 7 seconds behind the leaders, you weren't going to win this race by doing exactly what the leaders did. Why not try something different?
Yep. Yeah, hey, absolutely. I love that strategy. You know, if you're going to do exactly what the leaders are going to do, then you're just going to follow them. So you might as well try something different, see what happens. I think that's a fantastic strategy. See what happens for Ricky Freeman Jr. here. Meanwhile, we're back to Yates Terzic. Of course, he hasn't gained a lot of time on the leader, but he is gaining time on that 58 car. So maybe if Yates Terzic can catch that Walmart Toyota, put himself up into 2nd place, that would be big going into the final pit stop of this race.
They still have a pit stop to make here to the leaders and everybody on this track that isn't Ricky Freeman Jr. we will see as these cars make their way through. Actually, it looks like
Here's the pit stops right now.
Patrick Smith stayed out, but Raiden Red and Yates Terzic, they're coming in, and it looks like we've had a crash between Elijah Ironhouse and Nicky Martinez. They were battling hard for 19th on the racetrack, but it looks like both their days have come to a premature end. So you see they were running behind Austin Holloman here, and I think it's going to be the exact same story as of AJ Jones earlier. They just get hooked together, and they just plow it off.
Hard hit!
Into the barrier. That sand trap does not seem to be deep enough to stop these cars, and it's all Martinez and Ironhouse can do to just limp it back to the pits. I don't even think Martinez is going to be able to make it back to the pits. She's stuck in the sand trap, nowhere to go. Ironhouse looks like he'll be able to continue with a lot of repair work, but as for Nicky Martinez, it's game, set, and match here at Decatur.
Yeah. All right, well, we got pit stops to deal with here, so the second place and third place, we had they pitted 1 lap prior to the leader of this race, so we'll see what happened on the last pit stop. Remember, the leader in that 04 car, Patrick Smith, had a tough break there. He lost about 2.5 seconds and ended up in second place after the cycle. So we'll see what happens in this one. It could be a similar story. Of course, we're not sure exactly what happened last time, so this time might be a different scenario. We'll see. He stays out again! Or has he already pitted?
No, Patrick Smith's going to try the long way.
Wow.
He's playing the long game in this Monster Motorsports 04. He's going to run this thing as long as he possibly can, then pit, and hope the fresher tires at the end pay dividends for him. Because right now, he's probably going to have about a 40-second lead over Raiden Red in the 58.
Yep.
Will that be enough of a cushion so for by the time the 04 pits, you'll be able to get out still ahead of the 58?
Yeah, this is a really interesting scenario here that we find ourselves in. This race is turned upside down. It's something special right now. I think that what happened when Ricky Freeman Jr. pitted, he dragged all these guys in, and they were like, man, that actually isn't all that bad of a strategy. Let's try it and see what happens. So
a few more coming in here.
Kean
Rivers in the 54. He stayed out with Patrick Smith, but now he's going to make his pit stop. So, that leaves Smith and Rashia Mahendra in the 6. Those are the only cars that have yet to make their final pit stops in this race. And I think the 86 of AJ Jones as well. So, this is going to be an interesting battle to keep our eye on. Because right now, Patrick Smith has a 40-second lead over Raiden Red. That is a massive margin. But the question is, will it be enough? As now, he comes up to lap... But he's going to come up to lap Ryan Arnold here as they head into the fast final sector of this lap. But it looks like he's going to be able to get around the 10. Oh, not quite.
Oh, he won't.
Ryan Arnold's doing everything he can to hold on, but it looks like Arnold's going to dive into the pits. As Smith stays out again, he's going to try and build up as big a lead as he can, push these tires to their absolute limit. And I guess we'll see, because Patrick Smith, he's going to do whatever he can to win this race, even if that means doing something different from the norm.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like Patrick Smith is the only one left on the norm strategy, and everybody else is kind of taking a little bit of a different approach here. So, I don't know, but this number 6 car, look at that, up to 3rd place in this race. Don't count them out yet. This is quite the thing.
He still has to pit as well, remember.
Oh,
but yeah, that is the strategy. He is on the same strategy as Patrick Smith at the moment, except Mahendra was running much deeper in the field when he decided to go on that strategy. But you never know. We'll see if Mahendra can claw his way up into the top 10 on those fresher tires. But now, but Raiden Red's chopped a second out of Patrick Smith's lead. That might not sound like a lot, but keep in mind, Smith still has to make his pit stop. So, if Red can keep chopping seconds out of Patrick Smith's laps here, that could be enough to take the lead.
Yeah, think about how far behind that 58 car was behind Patrick Smith before the pit stop. So it was about 1.5 seconds, maybe 2, let's just call it 2 seconds, right? So if over these laps, that 58 is able to gain 2 seconds on Patrick Smith, when Patrick Smith comes out of the pits, assuming they have relatively similar pit stops, they're going to be 2 seconds apart with the 58 car ahead, and Patrick Smith will have less time left in the race to be able to catch him. However, his tires will be the freshest on the track. So we're going to see how this plays out here. But I don't know how much longer I'd stay out if I was Patrick Smith. I think that you have to accept at this point that as the Patrick Smith crew, that when you come out of the pit stop, you're going to be behind that 58 car, and you're going to have to play offense, which is good. You want to be playing offense, but man, oh man, there might just not be enough time for him. We'll see what happens with how far behind the 58 is. Here's Elijah Ironhouse back on the track.
He's 3 laps down, and he's about 3 or 4 laps down in that 8 car. But he is coming out. He is back on track, 3 laps down in that 8 car. He will be able to see the end of this race, but he's not going to be in contention to win. But this 58, on the other hand, he's in great shape, and he just chopped another second out of the lead. So, it's not a guarantee, though, that Patrick Smith will lose the lead, because he's got a 38-second lead here. And I'm not sure what the pit time loss is on pit road, but if it's less than about 35 seconds or so, that could allow Smith to keep the lead coming out of the pits. It might not be a big lead, but as we've seen, it's difficult to pass on this track, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, we saw the 04 have a lot of trouble behind that 58 car. If he does exit the pits behind the 58, that could prove to be a big problem for Patrick Smith. So we'll see how it goes here. I just don't know. It's a really long pit lane we have here at Decatur, and here comes the pit stop. So all of our questions are about to be answered now that the 04 is in the pit lane.
Here he comes, coming to 5 laps to go. Patrick Smith makes his final pit stop here at Decatur. This is going to be a very, like you said, this is a very long pit lane, and it's a very technical pit exit as well. As you see, Raiden Red now going onto the back straightaway, with Yates Terzic not that far behind. So this is going to be interesting, because we're going to follow Raiden Red here for a while, as he's going to round the final few corners just about now, and you'd think Patrick Smith would be done with his pit stop by now. We'll take a look in a moment. Yes, there he is. He's exiting the pits.
It's going to be so close.
I think the 04 is going to keep the lead, honestly, because Raiden Red still has to navigate that first chicane, and so does Smith on the pit exit. There you see him.
Wow, he is far ahead.
Yeah, Patrick Smith's going to keep the lead, but the question is, what will the gap be by the time they're both up to full song?
Boy, oh boy, this is I'm actually surprised about how far ahead that 04 is. I guess this 58 has lost quite a bit of pace over that run or something. I don't know, but man, oh man, that is an impressive lead that 04 car has still. And of course now he's on the offense. He's got fresher tires. He's hardly going to have to go the whole run. Yeah, that's impressive. I wonder if maybe they didn't fill that car full of fuel. Of course, you don't have to with only 5 laps left in the race when you're crossing the line right there. So I don't know. Patrick Smith, really good strategy, and it's his race to lose now.
Remember, Patrick Smith had all that success in the Superstar Series a year ago. You were his teammate back then. He was clicking off top 10s and top 5s like it was no one's business, and he could have contended for a championship up there, but he took the opportunity to duck down to the Nitro National Series once again with this new Monster Motorsports team, and he's proving that was a smart decision, because he's about 4 laps away now from his first career win in one-up competition, and in a dominant fashion at that.
Yeah, he's been putting on an absolute show today. Not only is this car faster than just about anybody else on this racetrack, he has had the best strategy so far of anybody, and here's a battle for second place. These guys aren't thinking about the win right now. They're thinking about second place, and the car that's closest, that's Yates Terzic right there, knocking on the door of a top 2 finish. I think that's really important for that 00 team and Yates Terzic overall, especially after Las Vegas. So yeah, this could be big news right here for second place.
Yeah, Terzic is all over the back of Raiden Red here. These two are going to be battling it out for second for quite some time, probably to the end of this race. Because and now Terzic's developing the same push that Patrick Smith had behind Raiden Red. So I'm not sure if it's the arrow behind that 58 in particular that's causing all this to happen. But either way, Yates Terzic is having a difficult time staying behind this 58 as they weave through the fast S's here at Decatur. This is going to be a very interesting battle to keep our eye on for the rest of this race, because Patrick Smith's checked out. He's got about a 5-second lead, and he'll probably, barring any disaster, be the one that wins this race. But who will join him on the rostrum? It'll probably be these two, but in what order is the big question.
Yeah, you're right, and I think that Yates Terzic, I mean, when Patrick Smith was fighting behind that 58 car, he was right up behind him. He wasn't able to pass him until he got a good run out of that final corner on this course going down the long front straightaway. So we'll see what Yates Terzic is able to do here. He's not as close as I'd want to be to try to make that move off of this corner here. We'll see how close he gets coming out of the corner. It looks like it won't be enough this time unless, I don't know, he's got a pretty good run right there. He's catching up, so we'll see what happens if he dives out or not. I don't think he will, but he's running out of time in this race. There's only a few laps to go here, so yeah, that 00 knocking on the door of second place. I think he's got a genuine shot at it.
3 laps to go from Decatur. Patrick Smith now with an almost 7-second lead over this battle for second between Raiden Red and Yates Terzic. Ricky Freeman Jr. 11.5 back in fourth. That strategy paid off for him. It managed to get him ahead of the cars he was battling by about 4 seconds. So that is going to be a good run for Ricky Freeman Jr. Probably going to be his second top 5 in a row. But what I'm curious about is who's going to come out on top in this battle between Terzic and Red here, because they're both driving strong Toyotas. We've seen how strong those cars are, especially on these technical circuits. So, I mean, Yates Terzic's been good every week, bar Las Vegas. So as long as he can keep this third place, which I doubt he'd lose, he should be able to claw his way back up into the top 5 in points, and that could be huge, considering he's going to be back in the 57 car when we return in a month's time at Phoenix.
Yeah, this story really is incredible, and you know, I'd personally expect his performance to improve in that 57 car. Of course, it's not the top tier equipment he's driving right now. That is well known to everybody, but 57 car, you know, having that car on track, having that crew around the track every single week, keeping them in the game is big news for that team. So bring in the sponsorship, bring in what you need to do to get that car to the track, whether Yates Terzic is the driver or not. I think that's absolutely essential to his success in that race car when he has to drive it. And I'll tell you what, he is making the most of these opportunities he has in the 00 car. And it is going to be fascinating to watch. It already has been fascinating to watch. And I'm excited to see how his season plays out, especially once we get closer to the playoffs, because I think he will be a factor. How much of a factor he is yet to be known. But man, oh man, this story could be something quite incredible throughout the season as it develops.
Patrick Smith might be developing a little bit of a problem. He's got A.J. Jones to lap here in the 86. We've seen how A.J. Jones got in this position. He's not one to give way to being lapped particularly easily. We'll see how Patrick Smith decides to negotiate this, if he wants to just stick behind the 86 and coast, or if he wants to just put a lap on the 86 and go on his merry way. It looks like he's going to try and do it. Coming into the corner, and A.J. Jones and Patrick Smith collide. Smith into the grass, and Patrick Smith, after dominating this race, could be out of this race, as now Yates Terzic and Raiden Red power out down the back straightaway. Could this cost Patrick Smith the race victory? It could, you know. Coming to the white flag, it is going to cost him. Raiden Red to the race lead, coming to the white flag. Now it's a 3-car battle for the win, but not in the way Patrick Smith was expecting or hoping it would turn out.
Wow! That was absolutely incredible, and now we've got a 3-horse race for the lead. I don't think Patrick Smith is out of it yet. He's going to be racing with a fury right now. Of course, he's still got the fresher tires. He's still got the drive, and he's got to move going into turn 1.
Those tires are dirty, though. He's been in the sand trap on those.
Oh, and he pushes wide. Yates Terzic to the bottom.
They're
3 wide.
3 wide for the lead going into turn 3. It's Patrick Smith now with the advantage. Terzic gets around Raiden Red for second. But how about the job Patrick Smith has done to recover from that shunt by A.J. Jones? I'm sure the officials will be taking a look at him. as we see an off on the track. Might have been, I think it was the 54 of Kean Rivers. He's 2 laps down now, but we're on the final lap of this race. It's a 3-car battle for the win. A Dodge, a Toyota, and another Toyota. Patrick Smith, after near disaster contact with A.J. Jones, could still be in position to get his first career win.
Yates Terzic smells blood in the water right now. Patrick Smith right in front of him with a fresh rear bumper. We'll see what happens here. But Yates Terzic has a shot at this thing. Patrick Smith still leading amazingly after being in the grass and the gravel in this final lap. Man, oh man, what a turn of events we've seen. But Patrick Smith rising to the occasion right now. He is still ahead in that Dodge.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. Terzic's going to have one more shot at it going into this final braking zone of the lap. I think he's too far back.
Oh, too far.
To make a run at it. He's going to give it a shot, though, into the final corner. He gets close, but it's not going to be close enough. Off of the final corner for the final time. Patrick Smith, after a near disaster, is going to hang on for dear life and score his first career win in the UNOH 200. Patrick Smith and Monster Motorsports go in the victory lane at Decatur.
Wow, what an ending to that race. I mean, we had a 3-wide moment with all 3 of these drivers who have been top 3, top 5 for this whole race. Man, oh man, Patrick Smith, the fact that he was able to drive through the gravel, save that car, get it back on the track, lose 2 positions, gain them back in a corner, and then fend off those hungry drivers for one more lap. Man, oh man, what a race that was at the end.
Ricky Freeman Jr., his strategy paid off. He'll come home 3 seconds off. Ahead of Kyle Corbett, gets his, I believe, his first or second top 5 of the year. Ryan Caggiano keeps up his record of being in the top 10 every race this season. He comes home 6th. Ahead of Joshua Michaels in 7th, Dylan Young 8th, Kenneth Grant back in the top 10. That's great to see after the dreadful start to the season he's had. He comes home 9th, and Keon Daly, 21 seconds back, takes the final spot in the top 10. Well, it might not have become the easy way, but Patrick Smith has got his first career win. But man, did A.J. Jones make that really difficult for him. I can't imagine that 86 will get away with this scot-free.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what penalty is associated with that, but it can't be something positive. That's for darn sure. But man, A.J. Jones, tough break overall. Bad race for him, and made it even worse at the end. But Patrick Smith, wow, what a performance, what a show from that 04 car today. Dominates this race, has the best strategy overall. A little hiccup on that first pit stop, lost the lead, got it back, and then was able to drive away, had the freshest tires at the end of that thing, and boy did it matter, because he had to make 2 passes on that final lap to be able to win this race. And I'll tell you what, that is a performance that we'll be remembering for quite some time. An amazing job well done for Patrick Smith.
And we'll have a lot of time to reflect on this, because the Nitro National Series has 3 weeks off now after this. So we'll have plenty of time to relive this fantastic final lap and a half over and over again, because we'll be back on May 21st in the Nitro National Series at Phoenix Raceway. It's a lot of fun over in the desert. It'll be a lot of fun this year, I'm sure, for the drivers, the crews, and the fans out in Arizona. It'll be a lot of fun. But I'm not sure if anything we can do in the desert can top what we've done here, because Patrick Smith, man, he had a 7-second lead with 2 to go. His margin of victory at the end, just under half a second at the line.
Oh,
so, from Duke and Zach, and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Decatur. What a memorable inaugural race this was. And I'm sure Patrick Smith will remember it too. For good or for bad, he survived a late race catastrophe going off into the gravel trap. He could have been done in this race, but he survived to the end, and he is your winner after a frantic final lap and a half here at the Circuit Decatur. We're off for a month, folks. We'll see you next time out in Phoenix.